Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to our weekly training webinar series. This week's topic is the top 10 business blunders that speakers make. And probably most importantly, how to avoid them. Now, we have this program broken down into two sections. Number one, the 5 deadly mistakes for your website and other marketing material like Facebook and stuff like that. And then the 5 stupid things to say to a fellow speaker. And you might sit there and wonder why that's even important. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later down the road, but suffice it to say, if you don't get on well with your fellow speakers, they're never going to refer you, so you're going to be getting a lot of business from them. But we'll get to that in a moment. Before we really get into it, I want to share with you that this webinar is set up in a pretty cool way. Depending upon whether or not you're listening to the live broadcast or a rebroadcast, will depending upon how much productivity, how much participation you can have with it. But the cool part about it is if you're listening to a rebroadcast, there still will be a place on your screen where you can type in your email address and a question, and that will go directly to me, and then I will be able to answer that question for you via email. So do not worry if you aren't seeing the chat box open right now. It's no big deal. You're just listening to a rebroadcast, probably based upon your time zone. And just send us an email with any of the questions you have right there inside the portal for the webinar, and bing, bang, boom, I'm going to get back with you within about 24 hours. So it works out pretty cool. Let's see here. A couple of other things. If you're listening to the live performance, you can obviously type in any question that you like, and I may or may not answer it right away. Most of the time, I usually just kind of like to wait till the end to answer the questions, but if I see something pop up that I think is pertinent and would add value to the flow of the program, I'll probably address it right then and there as well. Anyway, let's jump into this because I'm going to make some assumptions also that you're a pretty busy person. You got a life that you want to get to, so I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump into this right away. So we talked about 5 deadly mistakes for marketing. We're talking about 5 stupid things to say to a fellow speaker. And we've also got some other stuff for you. So stick around because at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you guys how to get my best-selling product, Bulletproof Strategies to Crush the Competition, the Mental Game of Life. We sell this online for $767.50. But today, for everybody who's listening, you're going to have an opportunity to get that for free. So that's pretty cool. We're going to tell you how to do that here at the end of the webinar. So make sure you do stick around. All right, let's jump into it. Let's get going here. Couple of things. I did in the marketing advertise that I was going to name names, and I am. Okay. In fact, I actually have screenshots, and I even have a few screencasts of actual websites from other speakers. Now, before I get into this, let me just clear the air here, all right? First off, I got no axe to grind with any of these people. In fact, I actually did my best to try to find speakers that I've never heard of. That was not the case in every situation, especially the examples of what I like. I found people that I know. But I wanted to make sure that people couldn't accuse me of trying to go out and pick on specific people or my competition. So I really kind of tried to scour the internet for people that I hadn't heard of. And if I use your website in here, please don't get all butthurt about it, all right? It's no big deal. Listen, one of the things about being a public speaker, or a professional speaker as I like to refer to it, is that you're in the public, and you are scrutinized every single day for your actions. So just get used to it, all right? In fact, the way I look at it is this. You know what? If I do have a screenshot of your website up here on one of the deadly mistakes, don't get pissy about it. Take notes and chalk it up as, hey, this guy's giving me some free one-on-one mentoring right now, all right? And I'll also want to preface this, by the way, that in no way, shape, or form should you interpret that if I've got somebody's screen, on the slides as a mistake for marketing, please don't interpret that in any way that I think that they're a bad speaker. Well, like I said, I try to find people that I don't know, so I don't know if they're a bad speaker. They're probably not. They're probably great speakers. That's the problem, is that some of the best speakers out there are the worst at marketing, and that's why nobody knows who they are. So we're going to do our best to give you some great information. I am going to name names. I've got samples out here. I haven't blurred anything out. Screw it. You know what? I figure today's a new day, a new era of doing business. Screw the politically correct crap. Let's just talk about it like it is. Now, having said that, I'm still be a little bit politically correct. During the 5 stupid things that speakers make to other speakers, I won't mention names in that because that could be a little bit harsh, a little bit mean. I'll just do it during the marketing mistakes. Now, in fact, having said that, I'm going to actually name my first name right now. So the gloves come off. The punches start swinging. Here we go. All right. The first person that I'm going to mention that has committed every single one of these top 10 blunders, by the way, is me. All right. So here's the way I look at it. You know what? I'm giving you guys this stuff from personal experience. I just don't have screenshots of my websites because I've taken it down by now. I've learned. I've evolved. But believe me, every single mistake I'm going to share with you on this, I've made them all, man. In fact, quite frankly, you can probably look at my current website and still find a few of them. Nobody's perfect, all right? It's not about getting rid of it all. It's just about getting rid of as much as you can, I guess, in some respects. So I have committed the 5 deadly mistakes for marketing. I have committed the 5 speaking blunders to where I've gone up and said these stupid things to other professional speakers at the beginning of my career, all right? I've done all 10 of these things. It is what it is. I'm not going to get all butthurt about it. You don't need to either. It's no big deal. Let's just have some sense of humor about ourselves and just move on with it. Are you ready? So, and by the way, here's the thing. You know what? If you do that, if you can just get past that and just hear it for that, what's going to find out is you're going to get a lot more information from here and a lot more beneficial. And you realize that I'm not out to piss on anybody. I'm just here to give you some good information. All right? In fact, by the way, when I was looking for people, I got to tell you this, it wasn't hard. It was not hard finding people that made these mistakes because the majority, from what I found, of speakers make all of these 5 mistakes on the the deadly mistakes. And I think the reason why is this. First thing that most speakers do when they start the business is they look at other speakers' websites and they copy it. But they're actually copying crap. So it all becomes crap. And the other thing that I think what happens is that a lot of speakers sit down with their marketing expert, also known as their friend who knows how to do programming, and they say something to the effect of like, listen here, I want to create a website that if anybody tuned in to it, they think that I could speak for their company. And they kind of go this generalist route. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. In fact, actually, that's probably the big thing, is that most people try to make it sound like they could be the speaker for every company, but yet the most successful speakers out there, they're not doing that. All right. So the first mistake, by the way, is that it's like trying to sound like everybody else. In other words, if you have phrases like tap into your peak potential, tap into your true potential, live the life that you deserve, maximize your success, increase your profits for greater sustainability, all of those kind of phrases that every speaker uses makes you sound like every other speaker. And now finish this sentence for me. Customer tunes into your website. They look at 10 other people's websites. They all look alike. They all sound alike. The person who's trying to pick a speaker says, well, all these websites look the same. All these speakers sound the same. I guess all these speakers are what? The same. All right. So they're looking for people that can stand out from the crowd. But most people's sites kind of make them look and sound just like everybody else's. So here's an example of a guy out in London. I'm sure he's a great guy. His name's Martin Robert Hall. And his slogan is improving performance in business, health, and professional life. And first off, he's kind of like trying to grab, the way I look at this is he's chasing 3 rabbits. He's trying to help people in business, he's trying to help people in health, and he's trying to help people professionally, which I don't understand the difference between business and professional. That's a little bit confusing to me. Now, I'm sure this guy's a great speaker, okay? But you play that video and you're going to hear cliche after cliche after cliche, which is pretty much what most highlight reels are about. I probably got him in mind too. But the challenge is that there's really, like, if you watch his video and you go through and you read his ad copy, he's pretty much just talking about how he can motivate people and achieve their dreams and tap into their potential, and it doesn't really specifically speak to a specific group. Once again, sure, he's a great speaker. It's just this marketing itself, it doesn't do much for him. And I can tell you right now, this guy knows his stuff with SEO because I just typed motivational speaker London and he's like all over the place. So he's got great SEO, but it just doesn't have a punch because it sounds like, looks like, and everybody else. Here's another example. This guy here, Speaker John Bell. John works full-time as an author conference. In addition to motivating dialogues, he teaches people how to harness the power of positive thought to succeed in both their personal and professional lives. Once again, sounds the same. Here's another one. This one cracked me up. I gotta have fun a little bit with them. There's the Great Life Coach: Passion, Purpose, and Peace. Passion, Purpose, and Peace. Inspiring, motivating, energizing public speaker. This guy goes, I couldn't find his name anywhere on here other than in a quote. It said, I engaged Lee initially to tackle a specific matter. Most of the stuff on here just talks about the Great Life Coach, but it doesn't say who he is. So I'm sure that was purposeful. I'm sure he didn't accidentally do that, but if he did, he needs to fix that. And you go down here and you look at this. Keynotes and motivational talks are ideal for professional speaking for business, motivational speaking for schools, inspirational speaking for universities, professional speaking for organizations and clubs, inspirational speaking for networking groups, motivational speaking for events, conferences, workshops, and seminars, motivational speaking for company, away days, brainstorm parties. Wow, this guy does it all. And you know what? Here's the thing. People aren't looking for people that can do it all nowadays. They're looking for people who are really good at one thing, and that's what they want. People rarely nowadays, especially in corporate world where they're looking for speakers, very rarely does a corporation now say, we're looking for a motivational speaker who can talk about goals and tapping into our potential and being happy. That's not what they look for. They want somebody who's an expert in a specific topic, and the topic they pick is usually something that company's having challenges with throughout the year. So it's better to have something specific. You keep reading here. It says, ideas for keynote, seminar, and public speaking engagement. Here's all the different keynotes. Living passionately, purposefully, and peacefully. Doing the work you were meant to do. How to meditate. Meditation made easy. Creating a work-life balance. De-stress your life. Bring peace to your life. What is the meaning of your life? What is the meaning of your life? You are the hero in your own life. How to fix your life. I'm sure these things are great talks. I'm sure this guy's got great information, but this website's making it sound like he's a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I will tell you right now, believe me, trust me when I tell you this, okay? The days of the generalist motivational speaker are over. It is a 40-year-old model. Companies and people alike don't really need to hear about goal setting anymore. They get it. They're looking for something a little bit more specific. Now, here's the weird part, by the way. You could be the master at goal setting for IT consultants, and they'd eat you up. At least the IT consultant business would. So you got to stay much more specific with these things. Here's another guy, Ed Robinson, real professional. He's got a good demo video on here. Motivate, lead, sell. He's got empower others, develop teams, take ownership, leverage self-motivators, focus on success, infuse confidence. All these websites just start sounding alike. They're using all the same adjectives, they're using all the same verbs, and they all just kind of blend together. Let me give you an example of an awesome one. Jim Carroll, by the way, who's an amazing professional speaker. You go to his, and his says right here, the world's leading futurist, trends and innovation expert. That's it. In an instant, in one sentence, you know what his keynote talk is going to be about. It's going to be about projections of the future, what are the trends in the business, and how can you innovate? And you know what? For a company that's got a high value on innovation, they're going to love this guy. But this guy's not going to get hired by some big, corporation that likes to do things the old-fashioned way, 50 years. And Jim's probably not a hugely popular guy at colleges, because colleges are not known for their innovative work. They have a system that's been working for hundreds of years. They keep doing it. I'm not saying that Jim never gets booked in colleges, but it's probably not his forte, right? He probably works with innovative companies, right? So Jim's got a great website because it says specifically what his does, and it doesn't try to look and sound like every other simple generic motivational speaker. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to get rid of your airy-fairy copy. Now, when I say airy-fairy copy, by the way, I don't mean metaphysical. Although, believe me, if you are a spiritual or a metaphysical teacher, you have a bigger challenge in that you have to take an airy-fairy concept and make it not sound airy-fairy in order to really hit home. And if you don't believe me, look at Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra realized something in marketing, by the way. He realized that if he continued to talk in airy-fairy terms, nobody would ever book him. So what did he do? He got grounded. He started talking about real-life principles, and he got specific with people's specific needs and challenges, and he addressed things from a medical perspective, and he addressed things from a real-life perspective, and then he throws in covertly all the metaphysical stuff, and some of the people don't even realize it, right? So getting rid of the airy-fairy copy. Now, what do I mean by airy-fairy copy? What I mean by that is this. Copy that says a lot but means nothing. So I probably could have used just about any of those previous examples with the exception of Jim's. And you know what? Hey, I might even be able to pick on Jim a little bit on that one as well. I'd have to go back and read his website a little bit more, but not as likely as the other ones. And the reason for that is because here's the thing. The best marketing copy out there, whether it be a video of you speaking or whether it be your website or brochures, it doesn't matter, is going to be the kind of copy that creates a very specific picture in the reader or the viewer's mind. So I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by this. People ask me all the time, what do I do? And before I got this concept and got rid of airy-fairy talk, my answer would be something like, I help people that want to become a professional speaker to tap into their potential and maximize their success. But the problem with tapping into your potential and maximizing your success is that those words, those phrases don't create pictures in your mind. Now, some of you might argue and say, no, I've got a very clear picture of what that is. Great. Guess what? I don't have that picture. And see, here's the thing. If you as a speaker are trying to market your products and your services to people that you don't know, and you use a phrase that is empty, like maximizing success, tapping into potential, living the life you deserve, finding your passion, living on purpose, getting in touch with spirit, all of those types of things. If you use those phrases, you might have pictures in your mind about what they are, but chances are they're not the same pictures that the person would be creating in their mind. So an example of this, hypothetically, okay? So let's say I'm a speaker and I'm selling a program, and the program is $5,000. And the program that is $5,000 is going to help you to tap into your greater potential at work, in business, so that you maximize your success. Now, we could argue as to whether that creates a picture, but even if you have a picture of that, it's different than mine. So for example, the picture that I have in my head of maximizing success and tapping into greater potential would be increasing my personal revenue by $350,000 a year, meaning that I could go buy that new Porsche that I wanted. And of course, I could buy that dream home that I've always been wanting. So by me making my $350,000, I can have that millionaire lifestyle, live on the ocean, drive that fancy Lamborghini. You know, we always dream bigger than the money spends anyways, right? So these are the pictures inside my mind, and that's why I sell it for $5,000, because who wouldn't want that life? But the person in the audience, they're hearing about tapping into greater potential, maximizing success, and they're just thinking about getting a 5% raise. And that equates to about $5,000. And now they have to pay me $5,000 to learn how to get a $5,000 raise. All of a sudden they're going, it ain't worth it. Now I walk off the stage going, man, I rocked it. Woo, that was awesome. That was great. Nobody bought. Why didn't they buy? I was so clear in my message. I was talking about tapping into potential and all this stuff. And then you know what the fact is? They had a completely different image of what it was. So when I'm talking about airy-fairy copy, I don't necessarily mean metaphysical, although you have the challenge to take the metaphysical and make it sound applicable. But here's some examples of some airy-fairy copy. So this is Transitions Coaching and Consulting, Passage Toward Potential, Professionally and Personally. I can promise you right now that of the couple hundred people that might be on this webinar right now, every single one of you has a different image in your mind of what a passage toward potential, professionally and personally means. And then we read on, a company that offers services designed to help individuals attain optimal business performance and discover fulfilling lives. It sounds pretty, it means nothing. So let me go back to my example. People ask me what I do. I would have said, a couple years ago, maximizing potential, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I tell people now when they ask me what I do. So people say, what do you do? And I say, I help speakers like yourself go home at a decent hour, right around 5 o'clock every day, knowing that their calendars are filled with speaking engagements, all the bills are paid, and most importantly, there's money left over in the bank. So when you do go home, you can be present with the people that you love and enjoy their company and sleep well at night. Bam, 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 picture, 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 picture. Now, sure, the person that you're going home and being with is going to be different. I might not know that person. Where you go home, the picture of your home is going to be different. But yet you can't dispute that you pictured yourself in your home. You pictured yourself going home at 5 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about with regard to creating very clear copy, which this just doesn't have. Another example here, turning potential into performance. We help people discover and realize their untapped potential through corporate coaching, a synergistic fashion of individual coaching and management training applied to an entire leadership team. A pioneering leader in the development and application of this dynamic new management tool, we turn potential into performance. It sounds pretty, it means nothing. right? It's empty. Whereas if David were be here to talk about corporate coaching, he might want to say something like this. Maybe David could rephrase that to say, I work exclusively with corporations of 10 or less employees and help them to increase their what's a profit? And increase their profits by 45% within the first 6 months. Now that's something really specific that they can hold on to, right? So it's going to make him sound immediately different than all the other people talk about tapping into your greater potential. This one here was probably the most egregious with regard to airy-fairiness. Are you ready to get the edge and achieve greater results, be focused, and create clarity, vision, and purpose, discover your true potential, be motivated, inspired, and challenged, achieve new levels of performance, sales, and profit, increase your confidence and self-belief, overcome limiting beliefs that hold you back? That says a lot. It means nothing. And there's probably a second problem with that is that it also sounds a little bit too good to be true, probably. But, hey, maybe this guy produces amazing results. He possibly could. Jet could be a really powerful speaker. I'm assuming that everybody here is. But, if Jet's listening to this, no disrespect. I'm sure you're a great speaker. This, though, makes you sound just like every other life coach out there trying to help people tap into greater potential. It doesn't say anything. So that's the second greatest one. Let me give you a couple more examples here. This one here, God bless Lynn. You know what? Lynn actually does, she's definitely much more into the metaphysical aspects, I could tell by reading it. And if she's not, well, then she's really in the airy-fairy. So she has a bit of a challenge because she is into that airy-fairy, the metaphysical stuff, which is cool, by the way. Believe me, not knocking that stuff. And if you really want to create a powerful momentum and a movement in your society, you've got to be able to reach people to the language that they can understand. And when you speak this language, it says, let's see here, as an entrepreneur, you are committed to doing what it takes to offer value and be paid for it. Okay, I like that one, actually. Here's a go. Your chosen path is to manifest your highest calling through being of service in business. It's the fastest path to personal growth because you have to confront and address your life curriculum of personal growth opportunities. There is a meeting point between knowing your soul's wisdom and expressing it in a compelling way that provides the values for which you're paid. I have no idea what that means. In other words, you can make a living from who you are from the inside out. Guess what? I still have no idea what that means. It's just too airy-fairy. Where, if Lynn were to ground this out and she could have said the exact same thing to this. She could have said something like, my unique approach in coaching allows entrepreneurs to, I'm making this stuff as I go on. My unique approach to coaching is designed specifically for coaches that are stressed out in their everyday patterns of work because they find themselves having to be the CEO, the CFO, the accountant, the salesperson, and the janitor. We help people who are a solopreneur find balance in their business through meditation. Great. Now, I know Lynn might go, but I don't teach meditation. Well, okay, use a different word, that's fine. But remember, you have to use a word that people can hold on to and they know what it means. And then once they buy, then you can correct them if you need to on the different aspects or the nuances of your program, if you will. Here's a counterexample to that, by the way, which I love. So once again, I've never met Carol either, by the way. Carol Spears, International World Authority on Executive Stress. Boom. Right there. Got it. Perfect. Inspirational, motivational speaker, and a leading authority on work stress. Carol Spears delivers a powerful keynote presentation that provides proven cutting-edge stress management, interventions to reduce stress, symptoms, and work stress. Employees are under greater financial pressure and need to combat work stress and its associated absenteeism. This is so clear. It's beautifully written copy. And the interesting thing is Carol may very well teach the exact same stuff that Lynn does. But she's branded in a way which sounds grounded and it sounds specific and it gives me a tangible result versus an intangible concept. And I think that's really what I'm trying to convey there. So kudos to Carol. I think she did a really good job on that. Once again, never met her, but assuming everybody here is a great... In fact, yeah. So just keep in mind, the more specific, the more grounded, the better. Let's see here. Now, number 3, no demo video. I had a conversation with a guy. This is about a month ago. I've been posting on Facebook saying if you could ask me any marketing question you want about your speaking business, what would it be? Now I've got a whole list that I've got to get through. And I forget what his initial question was, but my next question it was just too vague. So I asked him, I said, do you have a website that I go look at or a YouTube video to where I could watch your performance? Because I needed to find out whether or not his was a performance problem or a marketing problem. Because there's a lot of speakers that think they're great speakers, but frankly suck, and they think it's a marketing problem when in fact it's a speaking problem. So I just needed to find that out. So I sent him an email back. I said, you know what, do you have a video? And he said no. And he'd been a speaker for 18 years or something like that, over 15 years. And he had no demo video. Now, listen, a lot of you guys have demo videos. You have your videos on YouTube, but those need to be on page 1 of your website. So it's important that if you're billing yourself as a professional speaker, when somebody comes to your website, the first thing can do is see your skills as a speaker. If they can't see your skills as a speaker on the very front page, chances are they're never going to get to a second or a third page, because rarely, if ever, is somebody checking you out for a gig and only you. They're checking out 10, 15, 20 other speakers. They don't have time to search around in your website to see what you're like. The video itself on your homepage doesn't necessarily have to be your demo reel. It could be a welcome video. That's what I have on mine. But just in the welcome video of me talking to the camera and saying hello, it gives them a feel for what my quality is. And then if they want to dig a little bit deeper, they certainly can, and they can go to the show reel. So you must absolutely have a demo reel. Now, the biggest objection that I've heard for speakers that don't have demo reels is this. They say, well, I don't have any good footage of me speaking. And I'm thinking, okay, well, first off, nowadays, quality is not nearly as important as it used to be. I mean, with the advent of YouTube, the acceptable level of standard for quality has dropped down to pretty much nothing. So this is one of those things where a little of something is better than a lot of nothing. Now, having said that, you have to temper that and balance that with this. Poor quality video is one thing, but a poor quality presentation is another. If you have a poor quality video, you'd still better kick ass and have a high quality presentation. There's a lot of people out there that have poor quality presentations on high quality video. That does you no good either, all right? So when you look at your videos, I'll tell you right now, you're never the one that should ever judge it. And chances are it should also never be the one that your employees should never judge your videos as well, because they're probably scared to tell you the truth, unless you're blessed enough to have somebody who just does not give a rip about your opinion. I've got a wonderful lady out in London, England that helps me out. She's a dear friend. Her name is Kate Ginn. Kate Ginn does not care about my emotions. I'm going to cry now. No, she cares enough about me that she doesn't care if she hurts my feelings. This woman will cut me low. If I make a video and I sound like a pompous, arrogant ass, she'll just say, you sound like a pompous, arrogant ass. And she just doesn't pull any punches. And that's what you want. You want somebody who will look at it and critique it very harshly, and she does. And she's an amazing person. In fact, you could probably look it up, play her video, send her your video, and she'd probably give you harsh feedback too. She just says it like it is. I love her. But you absolutely must have a demo video. If you don't, you are a fool. Nobody's going to book you based upon sight unseen without having some kind of a video. So you have to get that done. Even if you don't have a keynote speaking. The other reason people say is, well, I haven't been booked to speak yet. Fine. Set up your damn iPhone on a tripod. Stand in front of a blank wall, not with any art behind it. Flip on the camera and start talking to the lens and give them a good presentation. Tell them a concept, an idea. Let them know how happy you are that they visited your site. Anything, it doesn't matter. But they do have to see some sample of you, because if they don't, they're never going to book you. And the only way they might without sight unseen or with sight unseen would be if it was a really strong referral. But then again, even referrals nowadays are like, yeah, still send me a demo reel. I want to see what this guy's all about. So you have to have a demo reel. If you don't, you are dead in the water. Get out of the business. So get a video done. All right. Oh, now having said that, I almost critique myself or contradict myself on this one. It has to be a good demo video. I think I alluded to that. But if you suck as a speaker, well, wait, better yet, get your video done. And if your video doesn't get you booked, I have some other shocking news for you. You probably suck as a speaker. You're not as good as you think you are. I was having a conversation today with a good friend of mine, Steve Siebold, who also trains professional speakers. He's one of the best in the world. I admire him. I went through his programs. If you have a chance, you should check him out. He's a good guy. And we were sitting there laughing about how we have never ran into a professional speaker who says they're not a very good speaker. They all say, "Oh, I'm amazing. I'm great. I'm fantastic. My audience loves me." And we're like, "Really?" Every single time. Listen, I've spoken in front of audiences that don't love me, so not every audience loves me. So here's the thing. If you're not getting booked and you have a demo video, you need to take a second look at your skills as a speaker, and maybe they're not as, good as you think they are. Something to think about. Put it that way. Next one. Number 4 is making a personal breakdown public. All right, so I have seen this happen occasionally. It doesn't happen a lot, thank God, but it does happen. It usually happens on Facebook. Facebook seems to be our dear diary where people just espouse and spew stuff out there, and it doesn't work right. By the way, I've even put stuff on my Facebook page that it wasn't a breakdown. I was just cracking a joke, and people misinterpret it and think it's a breakdown. So you kind of got to be careful. When you make posts, you got to realize something. People don't think you're a human being. They think you're a motivational speaker. And for some reason, we're held to a different standard than normal people. I'll never forget, I remember, I won't mention the speaker's name, but he posted on his Facebook page a video from the Darwin Awards of this guy who was in a one of those little scooter chairs or whatever for handicapped people. And the guy's going to an elevator, and the elevator door shuts, and he hits it with his front wheel, and he's pissed off that the door shut, so he backs up and he hits the elevator a second time, and he dents it. He backs up and he hits it like a third time, and he cracks the thing, and then I think it's the fourth time he backs up and he hits it again so hard, the doors break open, and you see this guy in this little scooter falling to his inevitable death or certainly a bad injury. But and now that I describe it, it does sound kind of mean and asshole-ish, but it really was funny. And somebody posted on his page, they said, "I'm so ashamed that you would post something like this. I would expect more of you." And I went to his defense. I was like, why the hell would you expect somebody more? We're human beings, for crying out loud. But people don't expect that. They hold us to a higher standard. So you don't want to have a breakdown. I'm going to give you an example of this. I'll go ahead and keep his name out of it, but I actually critiqued him in public. It was a gentleman in London who's trying to get into the business, and he posted this huge diatribe. He's probably listening to this, by the way. He posted this huge diatribe about how people are ungrateful and they don't do what they say they're going to do, and they make a promise and they break it, and he's just so disgusted and he's so ashamed, and he went on and on and on. It was just like, oh my God. And, the majority of the comments from people were like, "Oh, I'm really sorry that happened to you, buddy. Keep your chin up," and blah, 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 blah. And I let into him. And normally this would be something where I would have sent him a private email. But I thought, you know what? No. This guy posted this on a public social network. He deserves to get his feedback publicly as well. So I just kind of let into him. And I said, listen, you don't have a right to expect people to do what they're going to do, because the fact is, when people are going to a motivational speaker or a personal development expert or whatever, it's usually because they're in crisis mode. And people that are in crisis mode never make decisions as smartly as people who aren't in crisis mode. And they see you as a pillar. They see you as an example. And you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, blah, blah, blah. And then I said this. I said, my advice to you is this. Take this posting down immediately. And here's why. Other speakers are reading this post right now, and they'll never, ever refer you any business because they'll look at you as being unstable. See, I think one of the things that new speakers forget to realize is the importance of impressing other professional speakers. I'm going to talk about that when we get to the 5 speaking blunders, the 5 stupid things that people say to other speakers, because it should easily account for 40 to 60% of your business would be referrals from other professional speakers. And I told him, I said, I would take this thing down and never post it again. You can't have a public breakdown. You can't have a private breakdown in public. Now, by the way, it's unfair, and I get that, and I know that. But, the reality is when you're in the public eye, you have to hold yourself to a standard different than other people. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is. If you don't like it, get out of the business, all right? It's just something that you have to accept. So keep your personal stuff personal. I will tell you that I have had hard times in my business. And I will tell you that I have people that I trust and confide in and I can go to in times of need where I can bitch to them, I can cry to them, I can moan and whine, and it doesn't go past their ears. They're cool with it. Those are the people you have your breakdowns with. You do not have a breakdown on Facebook. Keep that crap out of there, okay? Or any other social network site for that matter. Number 5 is having a private Facebook page or private anything. Here's the thing. You're a professional speaker or a public speaker. You have to be accessible to the public. Don't hide your information. I'm going to give you an example of why this is bad. So here's my Facebook page. And I had a friend request the other day. I'll just show you I'm just going to scroll up to the friend request. So if I come up here and I click down, I've got, scroll down here. Where's he at? Here we go. Mehul Thakrar. I don't know who the guy is. I look there. There's a picture. I can't really make out who he is from the picture. It's so small. I'm sure he's a nice guy, though. I scroll down, and there's nothing on his timeline because it's all private. Only friends can see his timeline. All right, so then I think, well, let me click and find out what he's about. Nothing. There's nothing available for me here. I click back. Sometimes you can see who they're related to in pictures, so I go to the photos. Nothing in the photos as well. This guy has everything private, and now he wants me to be his friend. The only subscription I can see, by the way, is mine because everything's private. And there's a problem with that, by the way. I don't like to do stamp collecting on Facebook. I don't just approve everybody. I've got 4,874 friends. I've trimmed that down from 5,000. And I only approve people for a friend on Facebook that when I look at their profile, I can tell that they have an interest in professional speaking. Because if they don't have an interest in professional speaking, I don't have an interest in them. And that's not mean. This is what I'm doing my business on. All right. So this is my professional site. By the way, I have a private Facebook page that I think 12 people have access to. They're all friends and they're all family members. And I think there's 2 people from high school. Right. That's it. All right. It's extremely exclusive. It's for only those people. And if I want to have a rant, I can have a rant on that because I never have to worry. That thing is all private. Nobody can see it. All right. So if you need to, have a private site which is set up for your most intimate friends, and then have your public site and just keep your rants and your tirades and stuff off of it. There's no place for it in business. You don't need it. Okay. I'm going to give you a bonus one. All right. So I told you there were 10 mistakes. You're actually going to get more than 10. Here's a bonus one. Crapping on other people's Facebook lawn. Right? I did not come up with that phrase. It was a post one time, and I just loved it so much, I've kept it in my brain ever since. What do I mean by crapping on other people's Facebook lawns? Listen, here's the thing. Don't confuse free access to free advertising. And just because you're friends with someone does not mean that you have the right to advertise your business on their website. I'm going to give you an example of this. Once again, I'm sure this guy's probably a nice guy, all right? But if and this is not a very bad one at all, by the way. This one is extremely mild because I just delete all the bad ones off, and then I was like, oh crap, I need to save one for my Business Blunders webinar. And this was the poor guy who gets nailed because it was the only one that I had on here. But there's been far worse. So the guy's name is Chris Barton, and I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, all right? But he posted on my page, EFT or TFT, which is the best, and why to use with NLP and TLT. So on the surface, that might even not sound like that big of a deal. He's looking for a question. But the fact is, I went over to a site, and he's been posting that on a whole bunch of other people's sites as well. And he's got some articles on that. So he's trying to drum up some business and get people to go to his site. This is clearly not for me, because if Chris knew who I was and knew what I was about, he would know that I'm not into NLP and timeline therapy anymore. I've retired from that job like 4 years ago. I don't give a crap about it. I'm done with it. I've retired. I'm over it. I'm into professional speaker training. That's it. That's all I want to do. And so he kind of crapped on my Facebook lawn. He's trying to market something. Maybe he's marketing EFT or TFT. I don't know what it is. But there's really no place for that. So when people go post things to their events on your site that you're not affiliated with, that's tacky. All right. And as a professional speaker, you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the ultimate bullshit that a lot of speakers like to say on stage, that they come from a place of abundance and there's more than enough to go around and all that. But privately, let me tell you something. It's usually not the way most people act. Speaking gigs are harder than they get than ever before. So, because there's so many people trying to get in the business. So we want to keep our, we want to keep our leads and stuff and cultivate them. And we don't want other people advertising stuff on our sites. Now, having said that, I advertise my stuff on other people's sites, so I'm a total hypocrite here. But let me share with you maybe where I've drawn the line. All right. So for me, I will not advertise one of my speaking events or one of my webinars on a fellow speaker's, like another professional speaker's site, unless they have something to do with the webinar. So I'm a member of several groups. I'm members of some professional speaker groups, some entrepreneur groups, and things like that. Well, those are fair game. I get that, by the way. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about people's personal Facebook pages or their fan pages where they're trying to earn a living and they're trying to drum up business and they're trying to keep people on their site to learn about them, and then you go post your crap on their site. I don't do that, okay? The best example that I could think of would be Daniel Priestley with Triumphant Events with the KPIs, the Key Person of Influence program. I'm privileged enough to be a part of that KPI group. And I don't post things inside his KPI website unless it's affiliated to something he's doing. So for example, if I'm speaking at an event where Daniel Priestley is speaking, I'll post something on his page under the KPI group, no problem. But if it's just something to promote my event that they're not speaking at and has nothing to do with KPI, I don't post it on that site. Now, even then I do break those rules a little bit because I know so many of the people in the KPI program, like when I do a stupid commercial, I usually post it there just because they like to get a good laugh with it. And that's where I break this rule from time to time. But I also think I have a close enough relationship with Daniel Priestley that I think he's okay with that. I don't know. He's never made a voodoo doll with my name on it that I'm aware of. But I do try to just balance that with a little bit of common sense. I'm not going to be promoting actively an event that might be competing with his event. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you're posting anything on other people's pages, make sure it's flattering their business so they're grateful for that. So like I post stuff all the time on other people's pages, but it's usually promoting them and thanking them and building them up and propping them. So keep that in mind. Don't be crapping on people's Facebook lawns, okay? Because it'll piss them off usually. All right. Before we get into the 5 stupid things to say to fellow speakers, let me just glance through some of the questions here. We have a question from Tom. Who's asking about the website. If you can't talk about tapping into greater potential, how would you phrase it? Well, okay, that question's a little bit vague, but I'm not even saying you can't use those words, but I'm just saying that if you do, you're going to sound like everybody else out there. So here's like my technique. What I do is this. When I have a phrase like tapping into my potential, I ask myself, how would that look? And then I describe that picture in my marketing, and that's usually going to be much better. So tapping into potential, how would that look in my business? I think if a speaker were to tap into more potential, well, they'd have a lot more speaking gigs. If they were to tap into their potential, they'd be better in time management, so they go home at a decent hour during the day. That'd be a good one. If they were to tap into their true potential, they would have all the money they need to pay all their bills. Okay, Here's what I do. I help speakers like you go home at a decent hour every day knowing that your calendar is filled with speaking engagements, all the bills are paid, and most importantly, there's money left over in the bank. So when you do go home, you can really connect and be with the people that you love and sleep well at night knowing that you got a great life. Boom. I can say it over and over and over in my sleep, right? So the best way there, Tom, is what I'd say is just when you have a phrase that sounds pretty but means nothing, ask yourself, what would that look like to you, or what would that look like to your target audience? And describe that. It'll be far more effective. Now, to counter that, you might sit there and go, well, but my audience is so broad, there's no way I can know the answer. Well, there's your problem as well, is you have to niche. Remember, the days of generic motivational speaking is over. If you're going down that path, you are going down a dead end. So come up with a niche, a specific audience, because once you have your niche, you'll know what they're thinking anyway, because that's what you're expert in. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about the 5 stupid things to say to a fellow speaker. Before we get into this, let's talk about why this is important. I alluded to this earlier. 40 to 60% of your business should come from other speakers. And the reality is those speakers usually are better than you. And you know they're better than you because they have more bookings. And this is why you want to gain their respect. Because if you can gain the respect of speakers who are more successful than you, when they get a double booking, they'll think of you. Does that make sense? A classic example of that. I was speaking today with a professional speaker. Wonderful guy. I consider him to be a good friend, and I like to think there's a mutual respect there. I've sent him business before. I've sent him leads because I love his programs and his products. we're talking. He says, oh, yeah, I've got a deal I'm working on right now. It could be worth, and it was a hell of a big amount of money. And he goes, and if I get this, you're on my list, you're on my short list to call because there's no way I can do all the seminars. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm happy to take some off your hands for you, my friend. So, I've got his respect. How do I get his respect? I've never said any of these 5 stupid things to him, for one. In fact, what's really funny is I actually got his help compiling this list. I had 4 of them, and I couldn't think of a 5th one. So I called him up and I go, hey, dude, I can't think of a 5th stupid thing that people say to us. Can you think of one? He's like, oh, I got a good one. And then we started laughing about it for about a half hour because it was probably one of the worst ones. And it's probably the one that I've heard the most too. And I was like, yeah, I can't believe I forgot that one. So you want to make sure you avoid doing these things to professional speakers because they're not going to think very highly of you. They're going to lose respect for you. And the moment a speaker who is getting speaking gigs loses respect for you, you're off their short list. The whole goal is to get on their short list to where they respect you and they like you and they think of you, so they revere you. All right. So having said that, let's go through the 5 stupid things to say to a fellow speaker. Number 1. Talking about creating a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, this one honestly is probably not stupid. It's just not effective, okay? So when you go up to a speaker and you say, hey, you know what? I'd love to do a joint venture program where I think we could have a mutually beneficial relationship. We already know what that's about, okay? What that's about is it's a percentage split. You want us to mail to our mailing list about your event and you're going to give us a commission. We got it. Okay, that's cool. So just say it. Right? You don't have to disguise it as the mutually beneficial relationship. You can just walk up and you can say, hey, listen, I've got a great product that converts really well, and it's got a high price point, and I'd love to give it to you at no cost if provided you promise to actually look through it and make sure that you endorse it to the point where you'd feel comfortable sending out a mailing to your list. And if you do, I'm going to pay you a commission split of X amount of dollars or pounds or euros. And depending upon how many people are on your list, I have a statistic where I can usually sell 15 people out of 200. So if you've got and if you've got a list of 20,000 people and you can get 200 people on the call, I can sell 15 of those, and that's going to garner you a paycheck of about X amount of dollars. Boom. That will be far more impressive to me as a speaker than you coming up saying, I'd like to do something which is a mutually beneficial relationship. First off, it's not mutually beneficial. Even if you're stupid enough to give me a 50-50 split, which, by the way, I should have put that down as one of the speaking blunders, don't give away a 50-50 split. What are you, a moron? Show me any business that has a 50% margin. There's not that many out there. And certainly there sure as hell isn't in the speaking business. And if you think you have a 50% profit margin, you don't know how to calculate your P&Ls, and that's why you're probably going to go broke. So don't be stupid and don't be giving away a 50% commission. I've kind of gone off on a tangent here. But the reality is it's probably not mutually beneficial, even if you do give me a 50-50 split, because let's say you sell a product for $1,000 and I get 500 and you get 500, but you get 500 and a new lead that you can sell other stuff to that you don't have to pay me a commission on. That's not mutually beneficial. It should be more beneficial for you. There's no shame in that, by the way. You're doing all the work. I'm just sending out a stupid mailing. What do I care? I don't care if it's mutually beneficial. I just care that it's beneficial. All right? So get away from that politically correct crap and just get into something specific and give us some bottom line dollars and cents and let us know what your averages are. I just booked a webinar last week because the guy did just this. He says, I can close like crazy and I can promise you this. If we can get X amount of people on the call, I can get you a commission of this. And he literally painted a picture in my brain of a check with a dollar amount on it if I could get a certain number of people to his webinar. And it's for a product that I've bought, so I'm a hell of a fan of it. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll do a webinar promoting that one, no problem. Because he gave me a specific picture to think about, right? So get rid of mutually beneficial relationships. It's a bunch of bunk anyway, and just have a beneficial thing for me and usually convert it to dollars. Number 2. Oh, this one just bugs the crap out of me. Whatever you do, do not bring your products to another person's seminar. And then when they're trying to pay their bills by selling their products to the audience, do not walk up to them and have your products in hand and say, how about we do a trade? Would you like to trade products for products? Listen, I don't want your damn product, okay? If I wanted your product, I'd buy it, all right? But all of a sudden now there's a group of people standing around. You're holding up something that I have no interest in, and if I did, I'd be happy to pay for it, by the way. But I probably have no interest in, And it's one of those things where what ultimately a speaker would like to do when you walk up and say that, we'd like to go, no, I don't want to do a trade. I actually want to sell my product because that's why I'm here. I'm trying to make a living, right? But we'd be an asshole if we did that. Nobody'd like us and we'd look bad. So what do? We sit there and go, oh, hey, great. You got a book too? Fantastic. Well, yeah, let's trade this. Listen, you want my book. I don't want your book, right? So just buy my damn book. And then if you want to, you can come up later and say, by the way, I have a great book. And here's the website. And if you'd like to get one, I'd be honored to sell you a copy and I'll give it to you for a great deal or whatever. That's fine. But don't just come up and try to trade your products for my products at our event. And don't do it to anybody else. Trust me on this one. Every professional speaker that's listening in on this right now, they're nodding their head and laughing because they've had to put up with this bullcrap from some person trying to break into the business and they're too cheap to pay for our products. Trust me, you do not want to do that. All right? It will make you look cheap and they will not want to do business with you. So don't try to trade your services or products for somebody else's services or product. Okay, I can do a whole webinar on how to do trading. Oh, I should do that. Make sure somebody send me an email, would you, real quick, and remind me to create a webinar on how to do trades because I'm a king of trading. But there's a right time and a right place, and it's never at somebody else's seminar when they're trying to make a good living, to pay their bills, to have the life that they want. Okay, number 3. Never go up to a speaker and ask them if you can get up on their stage. Okay. Here's the thing. If you're going to an event, well, I'm going to make some assumptions. Definitely there are probably exceptions to this rule. But listen, if the seminar is well planned, every minute is planned. And they don't have time to all of a sudden rearrange their schedule to put some Yahoo up on their stage that they've never seen speak before. It's insane to think that they would want to. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up and they go, oh, you know what, hey, if there's just a chance, I'd love, I was talking to some people at the break and they were all asking me this, and I think it really, it'd be really beneficial for your people. I'd be happy to do a 10 or 15 minute thing. I won't even sell anything. I don't care. I have an agenda. I have a purpose for my program. All unfolds in the way that I'm going to unfold it, and I don't need your help on that. And if I do need your help on that, there's a time and a place for that, and it's not during the event. And this is something that unless you've actually hosted your own event and you have your own agenda, you probably haven't realized the stress and the pressure involved in getting it done on time. Do not walk up and try to get up on somebody else's stage at their event. It's tacky as hell. I just saw a comment from somebody there that said, I just did that at their event. Sorry. Don't worry about it, brother. No worries. Remember, the first name I called out here was myself. I've done every one of these stupid things to other speakers before. And of course, I was just blown away at why they wouldn't take up such a wonderful offer from me because I was such an amazing speaker. Blah, 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 blah. Don't sweat it, brother. It's no big deal. I still love you. It's all good. But don't do it again. So keep in mind that when somebody's there, they don't have spare time. And if they do, they probably have something else they'd rather spend it on than having you get up on and promote the program. So don't do that. Number 4, don't go up to somebody. And this is, by the way, this could be at the event. It could be after the event. This is just a terrible way to try to get up on somebody else's stage by saying, listen, I could add a lot of value to your group. All right, so let me see if I can give you this into a specific. So you call up a promoter and you want to get booked, or you call up another speaker who's doing a multi-speaker event. If you say, I have a program, I have a concept, I have a technique that really could add a lot of value to your group, they'll probably just want to hang up on you. And this is going to sound really mean. I don't mean it to sound mean, by the way. I'm not saying, when I say this, I'm not saying that promoters and speakers that run events are superficial and greedy and don't care about adding value. This is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that they could give a crap if you add value or not. I know it kind of sounds like I'm a hypocrite here. Here's what I'm saying. This is a profession. And while we do it because we love it, and every speaker that I know that can withstand the test of time and they're here for it, they do it because they really love people. They love to contribute. I love that. Contribution is my highest value. I absolutely love it. There's been many times I've got up on stage and I've spoken for a week, I didn't make a penny of profit, all right? So please don't think that I'm trying to confuse this like adding value and making profit. They're not exclusive. They can be inclusive. But if you just focus on adding value without talking about the profit, it certainly is not appealing to me to get you up on my stage. So rather than talking about adding value, what you should be talking about to somebody is adding profit, adding sales. So let me give you an example. So instead of calling up a promoter or a speaker and saying, hey, listen, man, I got a program that I think really could add a lot of value to your group. Instead, you might want to say something like this. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I know you're busy. I'm going to cut to the chase real quickly. I've got a program that sells for $5,000. I'm happy to give you a commission split of $2,000. I have to keep $3,000 because the $1,000 of that covers the expenses. So really, we're covering, we're splitting the profits on that one. I have a close ratio of about 35% in groups of 300 or more. I have a close ratio of 44% of audiences of 200 or less. Now, I'm not too sure how many people you're going to have at your event, but either way, if you shake that out, if you've got less than 200 people, I can promise you an estimated revenue from my presentation somewhere around $30,000. If you got over that, if you got like close to 500, I can promise you right now there's going to be an estimated revenue for you somewhere in the pocket of about 100, 150 grand. So if that's appealing to you, I don't know what kind of numbers you play with, but that's the numbers I play with, and I'd be honored to get up on your stage. And I think I could provide a great deal of profit to you at the end. And you know what? And by the way, it's also good. People really get a lot of value from it. You can say that if you really want to. But first, let's talk dollars because it's a business, right? One of the biggest differences between a successful professional speaker and a struggling professional speaker, the successful ones realize that they have to get paid. It's a business. And it makes no sense to do it if you don't get paid. So I'm not saying that value is not important. I'm just saying that it's not as attractive as profit. So keep that in mind. Number 5. God, this one cracks me up. Don't boast about your skills to other speakers. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this one. We're talking, this is in the triple digits. I've heard this hundreds of times, some derivative thereof. They get up and they start talking to another professional speaker, trying to impress them. And they say like this, like, you know what, honestly, it's weird. It's creepy, man. I can change lives in like 20 minutes. It's like a gift. I don't even know what it is, but there's just this thing, like I get up on stage and I get in flow and I just find the words coming to me. And I've literally seen people transform right before my very eyes. And it's just weird. And it's like, you know what, I've been to all these seminars before where I see people say a lot of the same stuff and it just doesn't seem to stick in and people go away and it doesn't stick. But literally, when people come see my program, I've got like a 98% success rate. Nobody else has that kind of statistic, but I do, and I can't explain it. It's just amazing. I've heard that so many times, I literally have to swallow my vomit in the back of my throat when I hear people saying it. It's asinine, for one, okay? And here's why it's asinine. Because if you're truly as good as you think you are, you'd realize that nobody has a 98%, a 99% success rate. And I'm probably pissing some people off that are listening to this right now because you're sitting there going, no, I do. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. You might think you do. You just haven't been in the business long enough to realize that the effects that you see in the seminar room are different than what happens after they leave. And I think just about every speaker I know that's been in the business for 20 years or more, they understand their limitations, they understand their successes, and they have a pretty good understanding of where that's at. And nobody has those kind of results. So you don't need to brag about how amazing you are, because if you're really that amazing, I probably already know about it. All right. So keep that in mind. You don't need to be boasting and bragging about how great you are. It just comes across pretty sad and desperate. And I know you think it sounds impressive, but trust me, we're sitting on the other side of the fence as a vet, and we're not buying it, and we're not going to book you at our events because you're delusional. And by the way, and even if you're not delusional, here's the thing: even if you're not delusional, even if you're right, you are that good. By you having to boast it, we don't think you're that good. And maybe that's even the worst part, right? But honestly, I think if somebody was really, if their shit was really that good, they wouldn't have to brag about it, right? Like, I cannot imagine Gandhi ever had to walk up to people and go, man, I don't know what it is, man. I can change people's lives in 20 minutes. I don't know what it is. It's something about my presence. I don't know. It's like I've got a gift. I don't know. I walk in and people just talk to me and all of a sudden they change their lives. I can't figure it out. It's amazing. I don't think Gandhi ever had to do that. And if anybody could probably say a sentence like that, he probably could get away with that. But he probably never said anything like that. So just keep the boasting to a bare minimum. And I'm going to give you a bonus one on this. So even though it was the 10 business blunders, we're giving you 12. Yep. So we gave you a bonus one on the marketing. Here's a bonus one on the comment. This one cracks me up. By the way, I've seen this in marketing. In fact, I saw this when I was looking through websites today. I saw somebody say this. All right. Or some derivative thereof. All right. People tell me I'm better than Tony Robbins. All right. Jesus. Let's just stop for a second. Okay. First off, anytime you have to compare yourself to somebody else, immediately puts you below them. Right. My favorite example of this is I'm a huge iPhone fan, right? And there's these phones called the HTC here in the States, and their ads are like better than the iPhone, faster than the iPhone, more efficient. And they're always comparing themselves to the iPhone. And what they don't get is that as long as they keep comparing themselves to the iPhone, just by that comparison alone, it says that they're number 2. because iPhone never has to brag about their shit about other phones. They don't have to sit there and go, we're better than other people. It just doesn't happen, all right? So when you sit there, you have to go, yeah, people tell... And by the way, you don't have to use Tony Robbins. I'm just using him because he's the one that most people say, right? You can put it in. And you don't have to be the white version or the black version or the Chinese version or the female version either. People say I'm like the female version of Tony Robbins. Oh, I'm like the white version of Les Brown. Oh, I'm like the male version of Barbara DeAngelis. Jesus, let it go. All right. You're not. I hate to tell you, by the way, because if you were, we would know about you. The moment you have to compare yourself to somebody else, you immediately put yourself out of their league and you're trying to get into their league. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty desperate. So please don't go up and do that. Get that out of your marketing. Oh, I'm like a cross between Tony Robbins and, I don't know, Les Brown. No, you're not. You're actually, and if you are, then you're a hack. You should try to be a little bit more original in your message and not sound like them, walk like them, and talk like them, okay? So find your own voice, find your own personality. Trust me, you're going to be better off. Even if you are better than Tony Robbins, you don't need to go bragging about it, all right? Let the world discover that on their own. Maybe they're a little slower than you, but they'll figure it out in good time, all right? And by the way, maybe this one also is kind of a good segue here as well, because the reality is, this just sounds like I sound like such an asshole when I say this, but I guess somebody's got to say it. You're not as good as you think you are. And I know I can say that, by the way, because I know that I'm not as good as I think I am. Listen, if you're a good speaker, you have an ego. I've never met a great professional speaker who doesn't have an ego. You have to have a pretty healthy ego to think that it's worth charging money for people to hear your opinions. I mean, that in and of itself is pretty egotistical. I have an ego. Every speaker I know has an ego. The ones that I like to hang out with, and I like to think that I have one as well, is that my ego is in check and that it's coachable and that I'm willing to take constructive feedback and criticisms, right? Others don't have that. But the reality is every speaker out there, they have a pretty healthy ego. That ego clouds our judgment in our skill level, and we think that we're better than we really are. I do it. Everybody else does it as well, by the way. We all think that we're better than everybody else and blah, blah, blah. It's funny. In fact, I was talking to this guy today, and like we've never ever had a speaker come up to us who wants to get trained or is looking at our training programs, and they go, we've never had somebody go, I'm not really that great of a speaker. They always come up and they go, we say like, well, how are your speaking skills? Oh, I'm amazing. I'm awesome. I'm like better than Tony Robbins. Like people come up to me all the time and they're like, oh, you're better than Les Brown. It's weird. I mean, it's like, I can change people's lives in 20 minutes. I don't know. And they just go into the whole thing again. It's like, all right. You're not as good as you think you are. And I know that because I'm not as good as I think I am. And that's, by the way, why I consistently go to programs to help evolve and build my skill set up. The moment you think you don't need to get trained or improve your skills is the day it's all over, in my opinion. That's the day that you stop growing, you stop learning. It's ridiculous, right? There's always ways to evolve and grow. So maybe that's the segue, I guess, into my little sales pitch for what I do. But I do want to talk about two things here before we wrap up this webinar. Number one is I want to talk a little bit about what I do. And number two, I also want to answer some more questions that have come up here. There's some of them are related, some of them aren't. So I'm going to answer questions the best I can. But before I get to those questions, get the ones that you've asked already, if I could, I'd love to actually share with you guys a little bit about one of my programs that I have. So here's kind of my pitch, if you want. If you've liked what you've heard on this webinar, then you'd probably like my style of training. If you have not liked what you've heard on this seminar, you would probably not like my process for training. But what I do is I've got a couple of things here. I have a program called Bulletproof Speaker Training, which is, in my opinion, probably the most comprehensive online speaker training program bar none on the planet. And then I also have another event called Legacy Speaker Training, which is, this is the last year I'm going to be offering this, by the way. I'm retiring from this business at the end of the year, at least the teaching of speakers. I'm getting out of the business. At least I should say with Legacy. I'll still probably have the Bulletproof Speaker Training. But Legacy Speaker Training is a program which is really probably the most comprehensive program out there from soup to nuts in terms of helping you to establish yourself as a professional speaker. I mean, we include everything in this program, from designing your websites to hiring an ad agency to develop your logo, to talking to a branding expert to help you develop your brand in your niche market, to helping you to create your demo videos and even develop your product, and we even produce your product for you. It's full on, right? But there's a premium to that, and it's about 20 grand. So we understand that a lot of people aren't going to drop 20 grand on a program. At least not after a 45-minute webinar. I get that. So what we also have come up with, and this is the thing that I really want to talk about today briefly, and then I really want to get into answering these questions, as many as I can, is that the challenge with obviously Legacy is that a lot of people want it, but they can't afford it because they're just getting into the business. And let me tell you, when you're just trying to get into business, 20 grand is a lot of money. So what we've done is we've created Bulletproof Speaker Training, which is a membership site, which has some of the information which is in Legacy, certainly not all of it, but it has at a much more affordable rate. It's about the cost of a modest dinner for two. So here's the best frame I could put around this. If you've heard enough for me to kind of have an impression about my style and whatnot, and you're like the kind of person who would say, God, you know what, if I lived in Tampa, Florida, I'd love to take Topher out once a month for dinner, because I could pick his brain and ask him some questions about the business, and that'd be worth a dinner for two. If you're in that space, Bulletproof Speaker Training is for you, because it's about the price of a modest dinner. I'm a cheap date, by the way. It's not even like Ruth Chris Steakhouse. It's like Outback Steakhouse, okay? And it's a lot better than the dinner, because when you take me to dinner, I'm focusing on food. Whereas here, you have my undivided attention. So it's a membership site. It's only $47 a month. And let me share with you a little bit about why it's worth 5, 10, 20 times that, and also why I think you're going to want to become a member of it. First off, it's a membership site designed specifically for professional speakers. So how do I classify a professional speaker? It's somebody who wants to earn their living as a speaker or use speaking as a marketing tool to fuel their business. That's how I consider it. So if you get paid to get up in front of a group of people to speak in some respects, either through back-end sales or whatever, this is for you. If you just want to have speaking as a hobby, it's probably not worth the $47, because we don't just deal with platform skills. And the reason we don't is because what we have found is that everybody thinks our platform skills are great. What they want is the marketing skills or the business aspect. So if you just want to have speaking as a hobby, you'll be sitting around for 3 weeks out of the 4 until we get to the platform skills. So there's other things for you, and I don't have that talking about that right now. So it's a membership designed specifically for speakers, but it was designed by speakers, by professional speakers, which is kind of cool, although I'm not sounding like very much of a professional speaker right now because I can't even seem to talk. But it is a speaker website for speakers designed by speakers, which really is the best when you think about it. So let's go through a little bit about how the thing works. This is a screenshot, actually, of the actual membership site. And there's several tabs that I'll go through here individually quite quickly. We have a thing called Speaker Secrets, Venue Review, Legacy Mentoring, Bulletproof Mentoring, Bulletproof Training Videos, and I'll go through each one of those here real quickly now. So Speaker Secrets is my ebook, but it's a new and improved version. The ebook that we have available for free, by the way, if you've maybe already downloaded that, inside that ebook, there's several products that are for sale. And I think if you were to buy all of them, you'd be spending, I don't know, somewhere, at least the speaker-related products, by the way. I think you'd be spending somewhere like $270 for all of the stuff that's in there, everything from as little as $4 upwards of $147 or something like that. Well, when you sign up for the Bulletproof Speaker Training, inside the Speaker Training membership site, that ebook, you still get the new chapter every week, but what happens is any of the stuff that's in there would normally be for sale in the free version. It's free in the paid membership site. So the reality is, if you took the free book and bought everything in it, you'd be spending more money than if you just joined the membership site and stayed a member for 3 months, got all the chapters, and then canceled, which is cool because you can cancel at any time if you like to as well. And by the way, the ebook is really designed to do 2 things. Number 1, it's designed to help save you money from avoiding making mistakes. And it's designed to help you make more money in your speaking profession in terms of how to negotiate. We cover some platform skills in there a little bit, but it's really mainly about the business of the business. Then we have a section called Venue Reviews, which, depending upon what your status is as a professional speaker right now, will either be wildly attractive and it'll be the thing that seals the deal, or you'll just kind of sit there and go, I don't get it. And it really depends upon how long you've been a speaker. So if you're just getting into the business, you're not going to get this. But if you've been doing it for a while, you're going to go, holy crap, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Venue Review is, here's a great little side tip for you, by the way, if you're still taking notes. Never ever book a hotel sight unseen. Don't book it from their websites or anything like that, because you will be disappointed when you get to the hotel. They are wonderful at making those pictures look better than the place really is. You always have to do an on-site inspection. And if you're traveling, if you're doing something halfway across the world, that means you have to make a special trip out just to see the hotel or hire somebody to do that. It becomes very, very cost effective or cost prohibitive. And it's also just time prohibitive as well. It takes a lot of time to do that. Here's what I've done. I've actually gone through now and I've done venue reviews in, I think it's over 300 or 400 hotels now worldwide. We've got them in USA, Australia, the United Kingdom, Indonesia, and Canada. It's crazy. And basically what happens is I go through and I take my camera and I walk through the entire hotel. I film every single meeting room or conference room, at least that's open. If there's a meeting going on, it's a little awkward. And I film everything from how many outlets are on the wall, how high the ceilings are, what's behind all the doors, how thick are the air walls, are the air walls soundproof, how far of a walk is it to the outside for when you need to take a break? Will you need to plan extra long for your breaks? Because the smokers have to go down an elevator and go outside. All of the things that most speakers don't really think about, I think about them all. And we've gone through and reviewed loads of hotels. I mean, we've got them all over the place. So, if you're in any kind of a metropolitan city, for the most part, there's a good chance that we've got in there. And if not, tell me what city you're in, and it might be a good excuse for me to travel up to the city and do some venue reviews up there. Who knows? Then we have a thing called Legacy Mentoring, which is actually part of the program inside the Legacy Speaker Training for 20 grand. We meet with those people every other week and we record their mentoring sessions. And we cover all sorts of things from, how to pick the right CRM systems and databases to, who are the first people you should hire, how do you handle customer service complaints to, how do you sell from stage? How do you sell online? How do you write ad copy? I mean, it's really in depth. You're not allowed to participate on those webinars, but we do let you listen in like a fly on the wall, and we post some of those recordings there. We give you a new recording every month on that one, which is really cool. It's a great way for you to kind of get access to the 20 grand seminar without actually having to pay the 20 grand, although it is from an observational standpoint, not a participatory standpoint. But the participatory standpoint inside here is a thing called Bulletproof Mentoring. This is a contest each month. You can win the chance to get mentored by me via Skype. We record the entire call and then rebroadcast it for everybody to benefit from. But that's a really cool thing when you figure out that, like, I bill out my personal coaching. Like when I go to London, I'm billing out at £300 an hour. You can go in here, fill out a little quick 500 word or less essay on why you want to get mentored. And there's a good chance that you're going to get selected, and I'll do a 1 hour mentoring session with you on your business, which is pretty cool. Then we have the meat of the program, which is probably my favorite part, which is the bulletproof training videos. And what these are weekly videos we release, and each week it's a different topic. So for example, on week 1, you're going to get a business strategy. On week 2, you'll get a gizmo and gadget. On week 3, you'll get a platform skill. And week 4, you'll get speaker fitness. And then on week 5, we go back to a business strategy. So the business strategies are designed to help you run your business as a speaker and make better decisions and avoid mistakes. The gizmos and gadgets is really cool because it's basically, I kind of like serve as a consumer protection program, and I rate the success of certain things, and I tell you what's bad and I tell you what's really good. For example, I'll tell you about a software that when I got this software, I was able to let go of one of my employees. It was costing me $40,000 a year, and the software cost me $200 a month. Yeah, that's amazing, right? So it's really designed to save you a lot of money there. So make sure the stuff you buy is the good stuff. And then, of course, we cover platform skills. And the platform skills that I cover, if you've never seen me speak, you might not understand this fully, but I'm really not a fan of the traditional 1980s motivational speaker, rah, happy, clappy stuff. If that's your style, that's cool. But most of the time, it's not your style. It's the person who you really idolize. It's their style, and you're trying to walk like a talk like them and sound like them. And my whole goal for the platform skills in this program is to help you find your own voice, your own style, your own persona, so people don't ever walk up and say, oh, you're better than Tony Robbins. They walk up and say, man, I've never heard anything like that before. That's really a much better compliment. No disrespect to Tony. He's a god in this business. And then we talk about speaker fitness, which is really just about how to make sure you maintain a certain level of health and fitness while you're on the road, traveling all over the place. I've been doing this for 24 years, and, I'm not fat, and I'm healthy, and I'm not on meds. So I think I must be doing something right in that area. So I share with you some of my personal strategies for how I've been able to maintain a certain level of health over the years. So that's the program, and there's just new content constantly being uploaded every single week. It's my baby. I love it. I'm on that site a minimum once a day, usually 3 to 4 times a day. I check in just to see if there's been any questions. Oh, that's another thing, by the way. It's for the $47, you have direct access to me. You can type in a question in any of the categories, and I'll personally respond to all of those questions. So for $47 a month, you're getting me as a digital coach, which is pretty kick-ass too. Now, here's what we got for you guys for tolerating my sales pitch before I answer the questions and putting up with my swearing during this one, which is more than I think I've ever sworn before in an event. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm talking about the blunders. But who knows? But what we'll do is we're going to do a special for you. Instead of on the first month at 47, what we'll do is we're going to give you guys a trial. So if you go to the website, tophermorrison.com/trial, or you just simply click the little button that just showed up on the screen saying, I want my $5 trial. You can click that button and you can be taken to, and instead of you having to pay $47 a month, you're going to get it at a discount. Plus, you're going to get a bonus. The bonus is you're going to get the bulletproof strategies to crush the competition. You're going to get that for free. Not the actual DVDs. By the way, we open up a separate tab inside the website, and all of the DVDs are on video streaming, so you can watch them there inside the membership site. And we'll take that $47 the first month. I already said this. We'll walk it down to, not for free for the trial, but we'll walk it down to $5 for you for the first month, which I think is a hell of a deal, by the way. It's not even a restricted membership site. You still get access to the same stuff anybody joining at $47 a month would. The only way you can get this discount is if you listen to these webinars. So it's my way of just saying, hey, thanks for putting up with it and sticking through and listening to the end here. I'm grateful. And you can save yourself some money. So try it out for $5. You just have to click that little link at the bottom. It's quick and simple. Take you less than 2 minutes. Fill out your credit card information, your name, and your email address, and then go look in your spam filter just in case. But we'll send you an email. It gives you login and password information, and bing, bang, boom, you're in there, and you're getting some great content, great information. Try it out for a full month. You can cancel anytime, by the way. And what's really cool about my site is that I'm not one of them jerks that tries to hide the cancellation stuff. It's pretty easy, man. You just log in, click the terms and conditions at the bottom, or just go to the main page that says membership details, and you click on that, and there's a link right inside there as well. After your $5 trial, it'll go back up to $47 a month thereafter. You can cancel at any time. There's no obligation, no contracts, no long-term commitments or anything like that. So at any given time, if you don't feel like you're getting the value, go for it. But we designed it in a really cool way to make sure that when you get there, you don't have to check in every month. You can let it slide for 3 or 4 months and then log in, and all the information is still archived there. So nothing ever goes away. Once you're in there, you're in there. Plus, you get the bulletproof strategies to crush the competition, mental game of life DVDs on video streaming for free. And like I said, $760 just for $5 trial, just to watch those videos would be pretty good too, right? So that's the deal that we got for you. I'll just make sure I put the website up there as well. Once again, you can also click the little icon. But we do have some questions here that I want to just kind of go through real quickly. We had some related to the actual topic and some of them not. So let's see here. Somebody asked, do public speakers really picture all the people in the audience naked so not as to get nervous? Not to my knowledge. I don't know of anybody who's ever done that. We just find the one pretty person and imagine them naked. No, I'm kidding. Let's see here. Let's find a... When planning a presentation, do you have a set format that you work from for your plan of the day, evening, course, etc., i.e. the 3, 4, 5, 6 steps towards your finished piece? It's by Sophie. Sophie, it's a good question. I think I almost maybe kind of answered that a little bit through inference, in the sense that, That's why you never want to go up and ask somebody if you can get up on their stage, because they do have a laid out plan. The best speakers do. The most amateur speakers just like to wing it. That's another thing, by the way. Here's another blunder, by the way, is winging it. You can always tell an amateur by them just going, yeah, I'm just going to wing it when I get up there. Really? I find winging it to be tremendously disrespectful to your audience, by the way. I mean, if you really care about committing and giving them the best, why would you just wing it? You'd want to make sure that you're fully prepared. You would never want to see a musician wing it when they get up on stage. And even if they look like they're winging it, they probably practiced it over and over and over again. Somebody asked, a guy named Mike asked a question. He says, can we do a speaker program on stage together? He obviously typed that before he saw the speaker blunder, so we'll just ignore that one. How do you get used to spotlights? I sometimes find myself speaking to the lights at the back of the room and hence over people's heads, which is never intended. Well, the reality is once you get an audience over about 300 to 400, you really can't see past them anyway, simply because there are so many lights that you can't see there. So how do you get over it? You get over it by just doing it over and over and over to where you become numb to it. You kind of desensitize yourself to it. I wish I could tell you there's like a magic technique, but that'd be bullshit. Oh wait, no, there is a magic technique. It's inside the Bulletproof Speaker Training. You have to be a member there, and of course we'll teach you that technique. No, there's really no magic to it. You just do it enough over and over again. But there's also some techniques, and to be fair, we do talk about this in the Bulletproof Speaker Training in terms of where do you look to an audience? How do you connect with them? You got to make sure that you're projecting your energy out there. It's not just an eye shot. It's also like I call it my personal space. Everybody has their own personal space. Some people like to get real close to people. Some people like to stay back. That's manipulatable. You can change that, make it bigger and smaller. So sometimes you don't have to see them as much as if you project your energy out to like the back row, they'll feel you, they'll get you, and you just kind of need to know where that's at. Something that'll help you is if you can get to the event before the lights get turned on, so you can get up and stand on stage before the spotlights, so you can see how far back are the rows, and you can kind of mark that visually. And then by doing that, then you'll have a pretty good idea of where the back audience is at. And if you get lost, you can also ask the audience a question and have the people in the back applaud, and then just kind of look to the sound. If you get lost, that's another way to do it. But yeah, ultimately, I got to tell you, really, it's just about just doing it over and over and over again, so much so that eventually you just kind of ignore it and you don't squint anymore. Let's see here. What percentage of your presentation is persuasion and what percentage is teaching to get the best mix for results? Persuasion versus teaching. You know what? I'd have to say it's very little teaching, and it depends upon what kind of a program. Are we talking keynote? Are we talking workshop? Are we talking seminar? So if it's a keynote, there's almost very little teaching. It's almost all entertainment. It's about 95% entertainment, 5% content. If I'm doing a seminar, it's going to be about 80% content, 80% entertainment, 20% content. And then if I'm doing a workshop, it's going to be about 50% entertainment, 50% content, which I know kind of sounds a little bit weird, but the reality is that's like the secret to getting paid a lot of money is to be entertaining. The most entertaining speakers get paid the most. The most informative speakers get paid the least. So you can kind of do that yourself and ask that, map that out. Let me just, who asked that question? Yeah, Danny, you can just kind of map that out yourself and ask yourself, how much do you want to get paid, and then percentage it yourself, because the more you keep on the entertainment side, the more money you're going to make. And here's a great example, by the way. Tony Robbins, let's face it. I mean, he makes more money than just about anybody out there. He's one of the highest paid speakers, probably not the highest paid, but, his seminars are wildly entertaining, man. It's like a rock concert, smoke machines, lasers, rock and roll music. How much content is there? There's not a lot. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful in any way, right? It's a lot of entertainment and it's a little bit of content. Now, that content, by the way, happens to kick ass. It's good. I always tell people, I say, look, if you just do what he tells you at one event, your life will be changed completely. There's a lot of entertainment there, though. And yet there's other people that are in that NLP field who know far more about NLP than he does. They're far more skilled than he is. And when you go to their seminars, you get a hell of a lot more information. But they're boring. And as a result, they don't make nearly as much money. So you got to keep it entertaining. All right, guys, you know what? I think I've probably talked your ear off here enough. Listen, I want to really thank you guys for tuning in. If I did not get to your question, I promise you I will get to your question via email. So just make sure that you type it away. But But right now, what I really recommend you do is you take advantage of that tophermorrison.com/trial for $5. It's a hell of a deal. Give it a shot. Give it a go. You'll get in that $5 trial, you'll get 1 week. You get 4 weeks of videos, 1 week apart. You get the first month of the legacy speaker training. You'll get the first month of the bulletproof mentoring. You get the first 4 chapters inside the ebook. That's going to be enough for you to know, hey, there's tremendous value here. I'm going to stay in. Or enough for you to go, yeah, it's not my style, not my format. It's not cool. It's $5. What do you got to lose? Well, I guess you got $5 to lose, but I think you can handle that. Cup of coffee, right? No big deal. So anyway, thank you guys so much for your attention, for your time. I'm so grateful you were here. Please make sure you go to my website at tophermorrison.com and check out all the webinars. We have a different one of these webinars every single week, so we've got loads of topics. They never end. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much. Until we meet again, please take care. Dare to dream and make each day an epic adventure. Bye for now.